Tim, Alex, and Joey too. Got a show for me and you, games and films and tunes they'll skew. Some laugh, some groans, it's nothing new. Things I hated, let's dive in. Games and movies, where do I begin? Tunes we love, but still we spin. Laughs and cringe, it's where we win. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
Hello and welcome back to the Game Club podcast. Anyone?
I'm your hoist.
Your hoist. I'm your hoist with the moist. I'm sorry to anyone
I'm not.
who may be offended. But,
I'm sorry to just anyone.
sorry to everyone. I am Joey, and you are listening to Thanks I Hate It. I'm joined by my rather elegantly dressed co-hosts, Alex.
Yeah, but a black hoodie's real elegant. Do you know when the soundboard bot came up, part of me died a little bit inside because I was ready to hear the Podmas jingle again, and it's like a PTSD response.
Hold on, Alex, because I can sort
Please
you out
don't.
there. What you want to
Please
hit?
don't.
You want to hit Podmas?
I didn't say that.
You want to hit Podmas? I can't
didn't
find
say that.
anything. I've got this one.
It's Podmas, Christmas time. The Game Club boys bringing us plenty of cheer. It's Podmas, Christmas time. Can't wait to do this all again this time next year.
We don't have the actual jingle, but we do have that one on. So,
Do we have the license for that?
Which is better.
do we have the license?
Yeah, like the music rights for that one.
No.
No,
Dan
living
can
on the
come
hype.
and claim. Dan can come and claim every penny we make on this podcast. Sorry, I'm joined by Alex
Hello.
and Tim.
Hello.
And this is Thanks I Hate It. This is the show where we decide something that we think, in the sphere of gaming, you're okay to not like things. You're okay to not like genres and tropes. And it's not just gaming. It could be film, it could be music, it could be TV, any media. It has been gaming centric, but that's going to change in the near future. I've chosen another one for Alex and Tim. They're both sick of jump scares, and YouTube bait jump scares.
Mhm.
So, boys, I've had you play The Cabin Factory, and we're going to start off this Thanks I Hate It the same way we start off every Thanks I Hate It, by finding out if you fucking hated it or not. So I'm going to go straight to Tim. Tim, what did you think of The Cabin Factory? Did you hate it?
Well, he didn't hate it.
That's 2 for 2 on Tim. Champions.
This game has a very unfortunate position for me in that I actually watched a playthrough of it about a month before playing it, so I knew going in what to expect. However, that doesn't change the fact that I still, well, I'm not exactly writing home about this game. I didn't hate this. It was at least something a little different.
Excellent. Alex, how did you find it?
I'm not going to use the soundboard
No, we
bot for
need
this
you to
because
use it. We need you to use it.
But it doesn't fully. Right. Okay.
I need a binary yes or no.
Oh, well, I guess he hated it.
Fucking womp womp.
That soundbot does not express my true feelings for this game. I fucking hated it. It was the biggest pile of, well, maybe not the biggest pile of crap, because I did play Gollum for this, but it was up there.
Oh, really? That bad?
It's just, well, we'll get on to why, but no, like they said, you've targeted us because we both hate jump scares and YouTube bait, and you were hoping that this would be something a little bit different that would maybe sway us. No, sir.
Okay, well, really quickly, the story of The Cabin Factory is something I can tell you in a couple of seconds. You work at a company that makes cabins for the woods, and there's been reports that the cabins that your company are making are haunted. So to avoid lawsuits, they hired you to be a cabin inspector. And you have to go into cabins that are on a conveyor belt. And if you see something that is moving or traps you or chases you or follows you, whatever it is, you go outside, you mark it as haunted. The next one comes along and you have to do that. And the point is to get 8 of these right in a row. And that ends the game. That's the cabin factory.
It's effectively it's a sort of it's a walk around anomaly hunting game.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
Yeah. Which seems to be a bit of an emerging genre at the minute, actually, is anomaly-based games.
I feel like it's because they're quite easy to make.
Sure.
Is the honest answer. So Tim, you didn't hate this, but Alex, I'm keen to hear about your experience first.
I was aware what the game was. I was aware that this was going to be an anomaly hunting kind of game. I've seen gameplay of things like I'm on observation duty and Platform 8 or whatever that train one's called. Things like that.
Yeah.
Exit 8, that's the one. And the visuals that I'd seen for them, the games looked really quite interesting because some of the jump scare or the anomalies were very, very subtle, but some of them were just in your face. And it seemed like a good mix, and it seemed like it'd be interesting. But when I went into this, it just pissed me off. I'll be honest.
Why?
There was some. Well, so for one thing, there are situations where you'll go into a cabin and you will be hunted by the family that live in that cabin. Some of those deaths are unavoidable or very, very, very difficult to avoid. And if you die, it takes you back to step 1 of 8. And that's really annoying because you have no means of defending yourself, and sometimes getting away is nearly impossible. The other thing that annoyed me is what the game tells you is if something moves, the cabin is haunted. That is your only sort of guideline. What it doesn't do is specify whether that is you need to see something moved. So, like, there was one of a body as soon you go through the door and a body's getting dragged away. Instantly, that's something moving. That's haunted. There are other situations where you will go into the cabin and say the picture of the mother that's on the wall on your right hand side, that'll be gone. And you think, great, something's moved. That's haunted. You press haunted and it goes, no, you were wrong.
Yeah, it's not move. It's not. The question isn't has the thing moved. It is something moving.
But then there's been there's certain cabins where suddenly it's full of teddies, stuffed animals, and if you click that it's safe, you're wrong because something's moved. It almost feels like, obviously they've designed each cabin individually. It almost feels like at some point and you get random cabins. It's not like this one will be haunted and then this one's not, and then so on and so forth. Every gameplay is different. It feels like somewhere down the line of designing these cabins, they forgot what they meant by move. And there were some times where there was one point I think I'd got into about cabin 6. Went in, everything seemed perfectly fine. There was no one in the windows. Nothing had moved. There was no weird noises. Clicked save, and it told me I was wrong. And that was about the time I left the game.
Okay, cool. Fair enough, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with these anomaly games is they're basically a glorified spot the difference, and that's fine. That's completely fine if that's what this genre is trying to be. And again, this game for me didn't have the this is unexpected thing because I'd seen a playthrough about a month before it was put on our running order, so I knew what to expect going into it. However, what I will applaud the game for is its sense of atmosphere. So it's a very sterile environment that you're working in. It's a very, almost Apple-esque factory, if you like, where everything's very white and overly lit and overexposed in the lighting. And then the moment you step into the cabin, It's all very dark and dingy and completely different. And it's yeah, you're looking for things that are moving. So there's like 4 or 5 characters, if you like, in the cabin, because it's basically telling a story of Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
Um, and you play, spoilers for the Cabin Factory. You are playing as what is basically Gretel, but as a factory inspector. I'm assuming to try and prevent the witch from being evil in the future or something like that. But you end up like piecing together this little story of, oh, these kids were lost in the woods and the dad is also cursed for some reason, and he'll like hang out with the witch and almost torture you, and then the kids burn down the house and run away into the swamp. And it sounds very straightforward on paper, but there are occasional times where you'll be inspecting a cabin. I was about to say inspecting a factory, but it's inspecting a cabin.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to leave." And then you go back and look into the factory, back into the cabin. Sorry, I've done it again. Back into the cabin.
Okay, Tim.
I'm having a stroke. And you'll find a door has opened, for an example, in this cabin, which leads you to a basement, which leads you to a whole other area where, strictly speaking, nothing is moving. But, well, at least nothing's moving there and then. But it
Mhm.
keeps you on your toes, or at least it would have kept me on my toes had I gone into this with a fresh experience. And yes, there are some frustrating cabins, like the one with the ghosts, if you like. So there's occasional cabins, and as Alex said, there's a whole bunch of pre-generated cabins that are randomly selected for your playthroughs, and it leads to the idea that in theory you could have a playthrough with absolutely 0 haunted cabins, or a playthrough where you have all haunted cabins, for example. But there's a couple in particular that I found to be a little egregious to work with. One of the cabins that I got fairly early on had a diorama of the cabin in the living room, and it showed little figures moving in the diorama, and there was a figure to represent you. Therefore, something is moving in the cabin, and thus the cabin is haunted. Makes sense. But if you touch whatever is moving in the real world, or in this case, it's supposed to be a ghost, you'll die. That's
Yeah.
fine. We can pretty easily work it out that you just need to go a certain way around the table to avoid the contact with the ghost. No problem. My problem is that there is a diorama cabin where the diorama is in the attic of the cabin, and there's about seemingly. I know there's only like 6 ghosts in this, but it feels like a whole myriad of ghosts. And you can't take the diorama with you, so you just have to look at it once and kind of pray that you're getting the right timing. I know the puzzle is work out what each one is doing, but all the patterns can become very desynchronized with each other. And as a result, it becomes just a bit of a toss-up as to whether or not you make it out or not. One thing I did really appreciate, though, and it was a bit of an unexpected thing in this game, was when you eventually beat your 8 cabin runs, if you like, when you correctly guess your 8, when you work out your 8 cabins, whether or not they're haunted or not. There's an extra mode at the end of the game where it will show you, there's a post-it note on your desk that is counting down, and it'll say there are 28 more cabin variations to go. And you then just have to keep going on, like, essentially an endless run of seeing what is left in terms of the cabin factory. And if you successfully do that, you're met with a dance party and some balloons and some lights and some confetti, and also some guys in hazmat suits who take you away to a dark room, suggesting that this is possibly a part of the SCP lore.
Yeah, I think that is spoken about in other places online, that this is part of the SCP universe. But I think if you didn't know what SCP was, this is not the podcast to find out.
No,
We might.
Secure, contain, protect.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was secure containment protocol.
Regardless, it's kind of the same thing. But I think both of your points are absolutely fair. Alex, I do share your frustration with some of the cabins. I think some of them did feel unfair. I think Tim, I agree completely that the atmosphere in this game was great. Um, my question for you both is: was there any point in this game where it felt scary?
There were points that I was startled.
Okay.
Like, there is one, for example, there's one cabin where you're going through, you're inspecting things. It's like, oh, okay, this cabin is clearly haunted. The man who sat at the dinner table, his head is constantly turning to look at me.
Yeah.
Great, fine. As you leave the cabin, the witch is just stood on the front porch now, ready to look at you, or ready to chase you, or break a window, or something. And yeah, those moments are unnerving because it's a complete departure from what the rest of the game is offering.
Yeah.
It's nice that they didn't rely on that.
Mm. And you could, like Tim said, you could complete a run through without ever having seen that.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool. Alex, did the game scare you at any point?
I don't think scared is the right word. It was a bit sort of tense, I suppose, because to what Tim said earlier, it does do atmosphere very well. Obviously, it's only a very small cabin, but the way they've designed it and with the audio design around it as well, it is quite unnerving when you go in, especially when there's something that's just a little bit different.
Mm.
Hmm.
I think this game, I would describe it was scary. I think the one that Tim said stands out to me as really freaky because the way the witch is stood is in front of the portrait of the witch that's normally there. So if you looked really quickly, you could miss it and then it would be chasing you. But that got me. The other one that got me is when the basement door opened and the witch was
Oh
just
yeah, that whole thing.
bullying a child, and then you get locked in a bathroom and you're looking in the mirror, and I can't remember what it was you saw in the mirror. Maybe it was the witch. It was
It was the
was-
girl.
oh,
was
the little girl, because you're
Mhm.
Gretel, of course. Yeah, I found that this game. I mean, I have to say I enjoyed this game. I think it was good. I don't mind the observation anomaly hunting, although we did absolutely tear it to pieces in I'm on observation duty, but that was a very, very early iteration of this genre.
The thing is with I'm on observation duty, if we're going to compare it, is I'm on observation duty was very clearly limited in its development to the point that it felt a bit like a project made in Gmod.
Yeah.
But this clearly had some sort of budget and a clear goal in mind. And I think, for the most part, it met that budget. Or met that goal, rather.
Met that budget. Tim's the
Met that
finance
budget.
guy.
Yeah.
But I think that this game is, well, did you both complete it?
Yes. And all the other cabins.
Did you? Well done.
I went through all
Alex?
of them.
I got to cabin 7, failed, and went, I'm not doing that again.
Okay, fair enough. I did complete it. Tim, how long did it take you?
Let me quickly
Just to
check, 'cause,
complete the game. Just to complete the game.
I want to say maybe 20 or 30 minutes.
Okay. Cool.
But I did play this entirely on the Steam Deck.
And how did it run?
It ran okay.
Okay.
Steam, the page on Steam says that it's Steam Deck verified in that it should just work out the box. To me, it running at the way that it did, I personally wouldn't be happy with it. In that
Okay.
it ran kind of somewhere between 30 and 45 frames per second, and you could normally tell if something was moving in the cabin because the frame rate would dip. So on that regard, I wouldn't be happy with the Steam on like the Steam Deck's performance. Granted, I didn't change any of the settings. Again, assuming Steam Deck verified. But if you tweaked it, maybe turned some things down and got it running at a flat 60, yeah, totally go for it.
Fair enough. Alex, how long did it take you to get to cabin 7?
About 45 minutes.
And I played it for an hour, so it's not a big game. I feel like if it was any longer than it actually was, it would have really, really, really outstayed its welcome. Alex, I know that you feel that it did outstay its welcome in the 45 minutes that you played. But it's a cheap game. It's not something I think you should put hours and hours into. I think it's definitely TikTok, YouTube bait game.
Yeah.
But it reminded me a lot of. Have you guys seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
It gave me that vibe.
I don't think that's exactly missed. I think that's very much intentional by the developers because the cabin
Yeah.
looks pretty like at least in terms of the exterior, looks pretty similar.
Well, and spoilers for Cabin in the Woods, and the medical factory area looks quite similar as well.
Yeah.
But I think that the atmosphere was done really, really well. And if you want a scare, do you know what this game I think would be good for if you've never played it before? Is streaming on Halloween. That's where this game I think could be a solid fit because the atmosphere is really good. I think it's interesting, and I think in terms of the anomaly hunting genre being quite in its infancy, this is a good spin on it that isn't boring. I'm on observation duty, got very boring. Exit 8 got very boring. I actually don't think that this got boring. I can understand your frustration, Alex. I do think some of the cabins were very unfair. But I don't think you can label it as boring.
No, not at all.
Well, there you go. Alex loved it.
Yeah,
We've
clearly.
changed his
Anything-
mind.
Anything that either of you want to say? I'm aware that we've been recording for about 20 minutes. It's probably about the time of a playthrough if you got everything right.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I really appreciate about this game, and yes, it could be very frustrating to get all the way up to cabin 8 and then be told, nah, you were wrong about that one. It was actually haunted because the frog in the chair in the attic grew, which
Yeah.
is one that caught me out. But the fact that it's very short, iterative cycles, it's not like, oh, you guessed wrong, you're a loser and a dickhead, and I bet you don't have any friends or whatever on like a loading screen. It's just, nope, next factory, come on, move along. Like the fact that it's very quick to pick you back up, I think that plays very much in its favour. Big fan of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got 2,000 very positive reviews on Steam.
Well, I don't know if
lot of
I'd
it.
stretch to very positive, but yeah, it was good.
Well, but you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down on average. This is very thumbs up.
Yeah, it's thumbs up.
There you go, thumbs up. Tim thinks it's better than Tekken. Right, so we're gonna end it there. Any dying words on this one, gentlemen?
No.
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 Alex loved it. Tim thinks it's the best thing since sliced eggs, and I thought it was pretty good. So there you go. Thanks. I hate it. What are we doing next time?
It's a video game movie club, isn't it?
It is Video Game Movie Club. Oh, it's me again, isn't it?
Damn straight.
It is.
Oh, we're going to watch a film that's pretty liked? Question mark, gentlemen?
Question
I'd say so.
We're going to watch the newest Sonic movie. And when I say the newest Sonic, I don't mean Sonic 3. I mean Sonic the Hedgehog with Ben Schwartz as Sonic, who I love. That was a John Ralphio reference, if you didn't miss it.
It was.
Who plays
And-
Sonic?
That's the Ben Schwartz thing to him. And then the next Thanks I Hate It. What are we doing, guys?
Whose turn is it?
It's a
Oh,
good
it's
question.
me.
I've not got-
It's me. We're watching an anime movie because Joey loves anime.
Are we actually doing that? Because it's really hard to get hold of, apparently.
I will find a way.
A legal way?
Probably.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
Yeah. We're going to be watching Perfect Blue.
Cool. I thought when you put it on the order, it was that film with Samuel L. Jackson getting eaten by the shark.
No, that's Iron Man.
No, I think that's actually the Shawshank Redemption,
The Shawshank Redemption.
which he's not in.
No. Mostly because the Shawshank Redemption doesn't exist.
It does if you really look for it.
If you pretend and make believe.
If you
It's
make
probably a porn parody.
Let's not ask questions we don't want the answers to. Right, guys, I'll see you next week for Sonic the Hedgehog. Gotta go fast. Bye.
Bye.
Tim, Alex, and Joey too. Got a show for me and you. Games and films and tunes, they'll skew. Some laugh, some groans, it's nothing new. Things are hated, let's dive